Hi fishies! Hi fishies and welcome back to my channel. I'm Mermaid Lelie, a professional mermaid performer from Belgium, and today we're going to start on part 2 of our 3-part series about sewing on sequins. Today we're going to cover sewing sequins on by hand. Are you ready? Let's talk a bit about 3 different types of sewing needles. This one is a rounded needle and it gets used for very bulky things. I've noticed some mermaids use them to sew on sequins, especially on a tail or bigger projects, because then if you go into the fabric it comes out by itself. Then you have these 2 sewing needles. This one, which is more blunt, and then there's this one that's very pointy and sharp. This one, the blunt one, is better to use on fabrics that are stretchy, knit fabrics, and this one is better to use on woven fabrics. It can be hard to find blunt needles in a smaller size, and then sometimes you will have to use this one because the eye, as you can see on this one, is quite big and it still needs to fit through the holes of the sequins. And as you can see, those aren't that big. The reason why this one is better for the knit fabric is because this one can make holes and this one will force itself in between the fibers. I made some examples. These 3 are sewn on by hand. This one is sewn on with a sewing machine. These 3 are the ones we'll be focusing on today. I decided to show you 3 techniques also depending on what you want to use it for. This can move a little bit, so if you don't mind, this one is the easiest. This one is more sturdy because, like you can see, it doesn't move that much. This is the same sturdiness. But as you can see here, I sewed twice. And here I did every stitch just one. Because this one I like to use it for like the last line on something, because then the stitching doesn't show up that much. In this one you can see a little bit better. For the purpose of this video I'll be using some contrasting threads, but it's better to use a matching thread or the see-through threads. We already had a full video about the thread you can use, so I'm not going to repeat that. The beginning for everything starts by threading your needle. So let's start off with this technique. First I'm going to attach the thread to the fabric. A lot of people can make like the fancy knot when you just like twirl it around. I can't. I tried it numerous of times. Maybe I should try again, but I can't. So what I like to do is just make like a very, very tiny stitch. As you can see, leave a little tail here and just go through the same holes 3 to 4 times until I feel that the knot is very secure. Now you can see it's very, very sturdy, and the loop is the little tail. You can cut the little tail off if you want, or you can just leave it on and then it will be hidden underneath the sequin. But since it's pretty long, you see it can also show up on the sides. I don't like that, so I'm gonna snip it off. Bye! Now it's time to bring in a sequin. I prefer to start on the bottom hole. Then I just go through it. I put it on top. And then I try to place it like I like it. So I want it like this. And then I just go to the top hole, hold the sequin, and then pull it all the way through the fabric. And then I'm going through it again. And I will repeat this step about 4 to 5 times. And then it should be fixed. Come on, sometimes it's a bit hard to find the hole from the back. But as you can see, I managed. Just one more time. This is the last. And then I'll go to the back, And I'll make a knot just like I did in the beginning, just by going through the same stitch like 4 times, and then I cut it off. Let's continue to the second way that you can sew on your sequin by hand. This will be sturdy enough. So I made some examples. These 3 are sewn on by hand. This one is sewn on with a sewing machine. Sewing on sequins with your sewing machine is a different video. These 3 are the ones we'll be focusing on today. And you can see the difference already if you just like move them a little bit, that this one you can just move it a little bit more than these 2. I decided to show you 3 techniques also depending on what you want to use it for. This can move a little bit, so if you don't mind, this one is the easiest. This one is more sturdy because, like you can see, it doesn't move that much. This is the same sturdiness. But as you can see here, I sewed twice. And here I did every stitch just one. Because this one I like to use it for like the last line on something, because then the stitching doesn't show up that much. In this one you can see a little bit better. For the purpose of this video, I'll be using some contrasting threads, but it's better to use a matching thread or the see-through threads. We already had a full video about the thread you can use, so I'm not going to repeat that. And now we're going over to the side. Get the thread all the way to the back. And come back up in the bottom middle. Go to the other side. Let's come back up in the down middle again, then repeat the steps. One more time. And now we'll move to the top hole, like this, and then do the same thing again. And then repeat it again. Last time. And then we move over to the back and then make a knot again there in the not so fancy way. When you make a knot, always make sure that's in a part that isn't visible from the front. And this one is also done. Now on to the last option. Let's take the sequin, put the needle in the bottom hole. Then I like to go to the top hole first. So we go through the top hole, then you go down, up by the sides, go through the lower middle hole, then you go up the lower side on the other side, go down to the middle again, then you come up a bit higher on the side, then the middle hole, then you go up by the sides again, go through the middle hole, top hole, go through the top hole, Then you come up right above the sequin and go down through the top hole again. Oops. Like this, and then just go to the back and make a knot again. These are the 3 ways you can sew on sequins by hand. This one, make sure that the sequin is more flexible and can still move a lot. So this one you can use for a sturdy attachment because it's very sturdy, but it doesn't matter if the sequin still moves a bit, or maybe it's even preferred that the sequin still moves a bit. This is also if you want to have like a very, very firm attachment and you want the sequin to move a little bit less. You can already see the difference. Like this, and then whee! So that's the difference. And this is for if you want to attach a sequin and you don't want it to move a lot, but you also don't want the thread to stand out. We only went through everything once, and if you use a matching thread, it will be almost invisible. For this one, you can also only use the sides in the bottom hole, for instance, so you can just play around a little bit with it. These are 3 different ways. Also, if you're a bit handy with the sewing machine, if you want to use this one, it looks exactly the same as the one you can do in a sewing machine, so I prefer the sewing machine. But that's for the next video. I hope that explanation was clear. If you still have questions, please let me know. Don't forget to come back next week, and then we're gonna talk about sewing on sequins on your sewing machine, my preferred methods. So I hope I will see you again. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye bye, fishies! With your then I'm gonna teach you how. This was part 2. This was part 2.